Hey y'all, welcome to the road to Cowgirls at the Cowboy, where I'm taking you behind the scenes with me as I saddle up with the ladies of Cowgirls at the Cowboy, the nation's first and only 3-night all-female country music festival at Jackson Hole's iconic Million Dollar Cowboy Bar. I'm your host, Jenny Tolman. I'm a country music artist, songwriter, new mom, and the host and curator of Cowgirls at the Cowboy. And I'm so happy that you're here. Y'all, I am so excited to have the incredibly talented and Grammy-nominated Ashley Monroe with us here on the show today. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I am such a huge fan of yours, and I'm, excited and nervous because I'm such a huge fan, and I have, for context for you and for everybody listening, I'm going to tell this really quick story, because I first saw you at the Country Music Hall of Fame forever ago when I first started getting into songwriting, and my parents would take me down there, and you were playing, and I saw you, and I was sitting super far back in this auditorium, but you were wearing a sweater, and this sounds weird that I remember what you were wearing, but...
Hold on, don't tell me. Let me see if I can guess it.
Okay.
Did it say Big in Japan?
Yes!
Yes! I love that sweater.
I thought, but when I saw it, I thought it said Big in Jail.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like... That's hilarious. But when I met you afterwards, I met you super quick because you were doing CD signings in the gift shop afterwards. And so I got closer to you and it said Big in Japan. And I was like, oh, well, my little 16-year-old mind was like, Big in Jail would be a fun song to write.
Big in Jail.
So I wrote a song called Big in Jail that was super cringy. But it was a huge hit at the neighborhood Corky's in Brentwood.
Yeah, hey.
So everybody, Ashley Monroe actually inspired some of my first songs.
Big in Jail. You're going to have to play it for me now.
I should after. Maybe I'll save it for Cowgirls at the Cowboy. But
oh my gosh, I do want to hear it.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, so all that to say, I'm very excited that you're here. And
thank you. That means a lot. You were 16? Gosh, so I'm older than you.
No, you're not.
Not that much. No.
No, you're not. Yeah. But we're all excited to have you in Jackson Hole as well for Cowgirls at the Cowboy. Have you ever been out to Jackson?
I've not been to Jackson Hole at all. I don't feel like I feel like everybody that I know talks about how much they love it.
Yes.
And my friend Angelina got married at the Four Seasons.
Oh,
Jackson
did she?
Hole. Yeah.
I got married in Jackson Hole too.
Really? She's divorced, so we won't talk about her marriage that long. But the wedding was good. That's the best thing about it.
We'll leave that there.
Yeah.
No, you're going to love it. It is. It's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. I got engaged there and married there, and now we started this festival there. But I know that you are from Knoxville, correct? And funnily enough, the owner of the Cowboy Bar is also from Knoxville, so you'll have a little hometown friend there.
I love that, and how random and meant to be.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I know that you started in Knoxville when you were really young performing and singing. So tell me a little bit about how that started, what inspired you to even begin into music.
Well, let's see. I always sang. I feel like I always was obsessed with music and would feel all these deep feelings every time. My parents would play the Eagles tape, and I also played classical piano, and I just felt it so much. Yeah. And then LeAnn Rimes came out, and I was like, well, why do I have to wait till I'm, grown up to sing? I feel like she changed. Even Miranda's mentioned that. It's like she made girls say, we can do it now, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then I started singing. I'm from Knoxville, but I would go up to Sevierville, Sevier County Fair, at Smoky Mountain Barn Theater, and I clogged and yodeled in a show up there. I first sang at church when I was 10. I was so shy and just... It was so hard on my nerves, but I just went for it, Mm-hmm. And then I started singing up there in that show in Sevierville, and I would do tractor pulls and other churches and rodeos, just whatever, functions of all sorts.
Getting your toes wet.
Yeah. And then I didn't really write at that point, but I knew that I had a gift. I knew that I was meant to sing,
Yeah.
So then my dad got sick when I was 13 years old. He was 40, and everything was great in my life. But then he passed away, 3 months after he was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh wow!
So then when that happened, it was it wasn't just something I did. Music was the lifeline. I I would sit in my room and just hold my guitar and think, this is all I've got, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like at that point, that fire really, like, came up in me, like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to Nashville when I was 15, me and my mom.
15?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So your mom was very supportive, obviously, about that.
Yeah, she was. She had, like, a slight nervous breakdown after my dad died and kind of, like, went away for a little bit, which I understand that, too. And then I got her to come back, and I said, we have to get out of this town, you know, and just have a fresh start in Nashville. Yeah, and I said, you know, all right, I'll do whatever. I'll figure out. We're going to make it. But she always, you know, believed in me.
Wow. So was it your dad passing away that kind of inspired writing?
Yeah, I think I had written like a couple right before he passed away, but then I really started.
Kind of opened the floodgates.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a therapeutic tool. I wish that they taught it in schools even. I even encouraged my son, just a way to get it out, you know.
That's a really great point. That would be really smart.
Yeah.
Because it is. Because I feel like so many of us artists and songwriters start from a place of pain. And that's, you know, becomes the outlet. And then it turns into a full-on artist career and you develop it into whatever. But that's a really great point. Yeah. So when you were 15 in Nashville, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I did a bunch of digging on you. And it seems like you actually got your first record deal pretty quickly after you got to town.
Yeah, I did.
And
I think I got it when I was 17.
Yeah.
I got a publishing deal with Ren Song, and I was with them for a while.
No way, I'm with Ren Song right now.
You are?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, Ree.
Yes, I love
and
Ree.
She's still like my angel.
Was Abby there back then?
No, Abby wasn't there. Mm-mm.
I love Abby. I call her the honey badger.
Yeah, right. But Ree really believed in me, and like, you know, and then Brett James soon after came like into the picture and believed in me and like championed me for sure. And then I got a deal with Sony Columbia at the time when I was, I think, 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was your Satisfied record. Yeah. And also from what I read, this was a very interesting journey that record took to even get released.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you went through multiple label deals, and then did you end up putting it out by yourself on your own?
No,
or was it with?
It was with when it was RCA. I think Joe was still over. Joe Galani was still there because I remember we went out like to eat, and he was like, "I want to put Satisfied out." But I think it was like 2006 because I Don't Want To. I was gonna do like a spin Satisfied into, you know, something else. But yeah, it was my first record, and I still love so many of the songs on that record, and I've actually recut, you know, Used and maybe another one.
I used to listen to that and Like a Rose were on my rotation every morning while I was getting ready for school, which is funny. It was you, Sunny Sweeney, and Brandy Clark were like my 3 on rotations. And now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm like, wait a second. So my husband is a producer, and he produced Sunny and Brandy. So I'm like, oh, we need to hook you guys up and get you on that train.
Yeah,
for
we
something.
do. It's meant to be.
But anyways, no, because I love all those songs, and I feel like it's an interesting story that you got to Nashville and so quickly recorded this album, had so many label deals, but it's also an interesting, like, was that frustrating as an artist? Because I know that you're probably like, oh my gosh, here we go. Like, this is so easy. Here we, like, snap, snap, snap. And then all of a sudden you're at the mercy of these labels who, surprise, you can't actually release this.
Yeah, we had everything set up, and I was on a big radio tour. And I mean, I was just so naive looking back. I was always like,
which there's no other way you could have been at that point, you know?
But I remember, like, when I was singing Used to a program director, and I was like, you know, used like an old piano play for generations, like this like deep wordy song. And afterwards he was crying, he was wiping the tears from his eyes, and then he goes, it just doesn't fit our format. I remember thinking, oh, this is interesting. It doesn't mean like what they like, there's more behind it. And I've really spent a lot of years chasing, you know, radio, and I don't really regret anything because I feel like everything really happens for a reason. I don't really have any like bitter feelings looking back about label deals and stuff because I don't know, everybody tried. I feel like even, you know, then I went to Warner LA for a little while. And I was on a lot of pain pills in LA.
That's a big sigh right there.
2010 was a dark time. But anyway, then I came back to Nashville and did Warner, Nashville, and put out, what did I put out there? The Blade. Oh, Like a Rose, The Blade, and Sparrow. So, it's like I'm grateful for all of these bits, but it is, especially with Satisfied, it was just like the head of the label got fired, the label's merged, and it's kind of like, well, it's over, basically. And, every time I get dropped, I'm like, ugh, like my feelings are hurt for like a couple hours. And then it's just like, whatever, right. They tried, I get it, they gotta make money, and I'm not gonna like everything that big labels might want me to do, like the radio thing anymore. I just because it just doesn't work. I'd love it if I had a radio hit, but I don't
and
care,
you very much deserve radio success, because you are one of the most talented artists, voices, songwriters in this town.
Thank you.
And I mean that you proved that with, first of all, your body of work, but also you mentioned The Blade just a second ago. You got a Grammy nomination for
crazy.
Country Album of the Year. Like that's not a small thing. That is probably on the dream list of every single artist I know.
I know. I'm so thankful. I feel like I don't know. I think about that all the time and think, well, that to me, that's making it. That, like, how my career looks to me, that's making it. It's like I don't have big mansions. I don't have like millions of records sold, but it's like, to me, if it matters, if I'm making something that matters,
right? Absolutely,
that's kind of all that matters.
Take me to the moment that you found out that you got nominated for a Grammy. Where were you? What was that?
Where was I even? Why am I not remembering? I have such a good memory. I think I know what it was. I think that I got an email maybe from someone at Warner. I'm trying to think, because it was Blake. I had a nomination with Blake for Lonely Tonight that year. I can't take you to the moment because I don't remember it, but I'm sure I was very excited.
I'm sure you were.
I mean, I can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all the successes that you've had as an artist, you also have so many as a songwriter. You've got hits by Jason Aldean, Miranda Lambert. I mean, the list is huge that you've got artists singing your songs.
Yeah, I'm so thankful. Like from Oak Ridge Boys to Guy Clark. It's like I'm so thankful of Dwight. It's like all my heroes I've gotten to write songs with and for. It's really amazing.
That's so cool. Do you remember the first cut that you ever got? Like, what was that moment? Where you're like, oh my gosh, somebody's actually singing my own song that I wrote.
Let's see here. Was it, the first big cut.
Or even like the first time you heard your song on the radio, like a song that you wrote on the radio.
Yeah, I feel like that I heard The Truth, that Jason Aldean song. I think I was in Knoxville visiting when I heard it on WIVK, and I'm sure I don't remember that either, but I'm sure I cried. Final me. I was crying. And I think...
It is what you tell them it was.
Yeah, right, I can make it up. Carrie Underwood, I think when she cut Flat on the Floor, that might have been like the first time I heard... It was around the same time as The Truth, but... And Miranda, Heart Like Mine, it was all kind of the same season. And yeah, it still blows my mind. I mean, still, if I turn on anything and anything that I wrote is playing, I'm like, it's crazy.
It's such a strange feeling, because I don't have that yet, but Dave does, my husband, and even like if I'm walking through the mall or I hear something, I'm like, that's so weird. Like, it's just like a weird reality where you're like, huh.
I know.
We live in this like interesting fantasy world in the music industry, and then in reality you hear that fantasy world play out and you're like, this is such a unique feeling.
Unlikely. Like it's so hard to get a cut. You know? And it's like, so when everything lines up just so perfectly, and then it makes it to like a radio. Yeah, it's just like, it's like, how did that happen? You know?
Well, I'm very excited speaking of all the songwriting, I'm very excited for this first night at Cowgirls at the Cowboy, because it is our songwriter session. And something that I realized, that this is totally unintentional, but last year and this year, everybody who's playing the songwriter session is a mom. And I think that's so cool because last year it was Natalie Hemby, Caitlyn Smith, and I was super pregnant. I was like 7 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And now this year it's you and Deana Carter and myself, and we all have kids. And so I think that's such a cool testament to...
We can feel less guilty.
Right?
It's like, well, they left their kids.
And that kind of leads me into my question, because I think that shows that it's such a cool thing. As mothers, we have, you know, a unique perspective on life, obviously, and that leads into songwriting. And what has being a mother in this industry been like for you? Because I'm just dipping my toes into it now with my son. But you've been at it for a few more years than me.
I'm so funny. How, like I wasn't the lady that was pregnant out singing on stage, which I see women do that, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool, like Caitlyn, or I see a lot of women doing it. It's so like empowering and beautiful. But for me, it's like almost like I keep it a little separate. Like I don't. It's like my home life, my career.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I guess it's maybe just like the OCD in me. But you know, when I toured, I brought Dalton with me a little bit. But it's like it's so hard and distracting, and like they're not really happy because there's like back there with buses or something. Like I took Dalton out with the Annies before, and like parts of it are fun, but all that to say, it's like I've found that I'm a better mom, and you know, when I can go out and like really focus on my music and like dig in and not have to be distracted or not have to worry, you know, what they're doing, and then come home and be like, oh, like fulfilled and really present. That's what's worked for me anyway. I'm excited about now that he's a little bit older. I feel like it would be fun to take him if I, you know, went to Europe or something like that. It'd be a fun family crossover trip.
Love Jackson
maybe.
Hole.
No. You're
like, this is my trip.
No, he's not going there yet.
Yeah. I mean, does he like hiking and fishing and things like that? Is he old enough to? I don't even know. When do kids start doing things? I guess I need to figure that out.
Yeah, right. Hiking. I don't know if I'm brave enough to go for a hike full on with him, but maybe. Yeah. I remember my husband, when Dalton was like 8 months, I was on tour. I think he was like your child's age. And my husband took my son hiking in the stroller. And I guess he like freaked out hungry in the middle of the hike. And, and John had to like hold him with one arm and push the stroller out of Radnor with the other. And I remember thinking, that was lesson learned. It's not time to hike yet.
Wow, that's funny. So you mentioned your husband, who was a Major League Baseball player. Yeah. So you guys are a very interesting pair because you both have very unique career paths.
Yes.
And what was that like when you guys first got together and were trying like balancing that out, and now you have a baby and
it's changed. Like our relationship, like it's interesting because when we first met, it was in Chicago, and I was singing with the Annies at Joe's on Weed, which I love that place. And so Ed, one of the owners, had kind of said, there's somebody I want you to meet. And after the show, I met John and was like, oh my gosh, you know.
Oh, so he played Cupid?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Because of Ed.
Blooper reel.
Yeah, right. But at the time, you know, John was playing ball, so he was, you know, gone all the time. And then I was on tour with Miranda at the time, and I was gone all the time, so it was kind of like see each other when you can.
Yeah.
And then I would, you know, kind of start going back to Chicago the more we dated, and then he moved from Texas, which is where he's from, to Tennessee when we got married. And then now he's retired from baseball. So yeah, it's and he was like just hangs out, does golf, does whatever he wants. Great dad, you know.
That sounds present. Awesome.
I know. So it's cool. It's cool to see kind of how we started and where we are now.
Yeah, that's really special. It seems like you guys have a great love story.
Yeah, we do. And he uses like the opposite side of his brain than me. I mean, I am not a sports girl. I don't understand it. I barely understand baseball because of him. But he is such a sports guy, and it's really fascinating to me because I really think it's the opposite side.
Oh, you guys balance each other out.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think so. Yeah, like I'll play him a song, and I'll be like, oh. He's like, oh, it's good. I'm like,
You're like, can I get anything else?
Right. And if he like goes on and on about, you know, his fantasy team, I'm like focus.
What?
Because I just can't understand it, but it's fine, yeah.
That's funny. Well, getting back to your music, your most recent album, Rose Gold, it's super different sonically than a lot of your previous records.
Yeah.
What inspired that? Like, were you... Obviously, it was probably an intentional move.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like I love so many kinds of music. I listen to all kinds of music, and I'm, like, obsessed with whatever moves me. And it doesn't have to be a genre. So I feel like at this point in my life, I had Dalton, and I just had all this love in my heart, and I just felt like I wanted to make people feel, like, intense love.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I just wanted to express that feeling, because I didn't want anything negative on it. I just wanted this moment of, like, intense joy to be kind of framed, in my life.
That's a really beautiful moment to capture, especially after becoming a mother and having that expression. Yeah, and so it's like I'd been writing these songs, and I thought, I went over to Deana Johnson, who is an amazing engineer and co-produced this album. We just kind of hunkered down and just, did what we wanted, really. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of just an expression of where I was at that time. Yeah. That's beautiful. And soon after your Rose Gold album, you announced to everybody that you had cancer, that you had a rare form of blood cancer. And you had chemo for 6 months, and then you announced, I believe it was this last December, that you are cancer-free, which is amazing. It's like greatest news ever.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like, I forget. I guess that's probably like PTSD or something slightly from it. It's just kind of like frozen of like, a hell part of my life. Mm-hmm. But it was just crazy. It just came on so fast. They were like, you're anemic, and like bone marrow biopsy and all that. And then, the chemo, it was just bad. It was not a good time. But at the same time, I feel like I'm a better person after the fact. I just feel more... what matters, what doesn't. I'm able to, like, quickly go there in my mind. Mm-hmm. Health, I mean, all the things we take for granted. Yeah. Like, just waking up and feeling good. Mm-hmm. Like, oh my gosh, we should be so thankful if we just wake up and feel good, But yeah, it's interesting. I go every 3 months and get checked again, and it's like the day I go back in, because they say this kind will never go away, but I'm not really sold on that. I feel like anything's possible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, every time I go in to get checked up, I'm kind of like, can't breathe, and like, oh no, because it's like, I don't even want to go in there anymore. But the past, it's been clear, and I'm just so thankful. I just feel so thankful to God and to everyone who prayed and everything. I just have like an extreme amount of gratitude.
Has that experience and that journey impacted your writing at all? Because, like, with Rose Gold, as you said, you didn't want anything negative on there. It was this huge love burst. Yeah. Moving forward with, a little birdie told me that you might be working on new music.
Yes.
Has that impacted what you're writing and what you're going to be releasing?
Yes. I feel like this next record, I honestly don't feel like I've ever made anything that is as completely me. Really? That's what I'm working on right now. It's almost like it's like a patchwork quilt of my soul in a way. And I went to Tennessee and recorded some stuff, and East Tennessee, where I'm from. But yeah, there's like sad parts. It's like it's all the parts of life. I feel like this record that I'm working on now kind of encompasses and all the things in all of our lives. I feel like
That's exciting to hear that. If you feel like it's the most you it's ever been, then that's going to be amazing. Because, every single project that you've put out is a masterpiece.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to hear this.
I'm excited, too. I feel like that I have been writing a lot more because I didn't really write at all during chemo. I was just, like, sick. Yeah. And then right after I started feeling better, it was just, like, like a surgence of all these ideas and melodies and like, fire again of, like, I'm going to go and... work,
Yeah. So I can't let you go without talking about everybody's favorite trio.
Oh, yeah.
Since the Dixie Chicks, the Pistol Annies.
Yes.
So you're a member of the Pistol Annies,
Yes.
along with Angelina Presley and Miranda Lambert.
Yep.
How did that all come about? Because you guys have been together for a while and putting projects out here and there, and they're amazing every time.
Cute. So when I signed to Columbia, so as a solo artist, Miranda was on Columbia too. No, she was on Epic or whatever. It was a sister label.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so great, and then like we kind of liked the same guy for a second, so we like weren't talking. But then we realized that we did want to talk.
I feel like those are some of the best friendships though, where you like
so
secretly didn't like each other at first, or you like thought that each other were mean or whatever.
Yeah,
and then you like it comes out and you guys become best friends.
Yeah, and she's like, we don't need another blonde singer, like. But then she got a copy of Satisfied, and then sent me a long text back in the day, like all nice things. And then I went to Texas and met her, and then it was like sisterhood. It was just like an instant, like, you're my sister vibe. And so we would go camping a lot. She had an Airstream, and at the time, I guess she lived in Texas and some Oklahoma, but we would go, camping with her Airstream. And on this one camping trip, we wrote, we had been writing a ton. We wrote Boys from the South, and we wrote Bad Example, and we wrote Beige, and Dear Sobriety.
Wow.
I think. Yeah.
That was a successful trip.
Yeah. And so when we got back to her house that night, I think we were watching Snapped. I'm like still drinking.
I remember that.
But I was like, have you heard of Angelina Presley? Well, I had written with Ange here in town a few times and just thought she was insanely amazing.
Mm-hmm. And
it just came to me. I was like, Miranda would love her. So I remember like pausing Snapped, and we pulled up Ange's MySpace.
Oh my gosh.
That's how long ago it was. And played her like some of her songs. She was like, that's it. We're going to call her right now. And so we called her, and we're like, Miranda's like, we've been writing these songs, and we think it's a band, do you want to be in a band? She's like, oh, y'all are high. Like, I don't know.
Gosh.
But then Ange came a couple weeks later. Miranda was in town for the CMAs, and Ange came out and met Miranda. And then, again, it was just like this vortex. It's like this odd sisterhood, that we have. It was just instant. Yeah. And we started writing songs soon after. Ange had written Lemon Drop by herself, or Better Days, I guess it's called on our record. But, and we like sang it for her because we'd been listening to it on MySpace.
Oh, you wanted to impress her.
Yeah. And so, it was it's magic. Anytime we're together, it's like, and it's like sisters. It's like we fight, all the things.
Yeah.
But it's like real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Do you guys still get together very often, or is it, I know, because you all have your individual, very successful careers.
Yeah, we do. We have so many that we've written that we haven't cut. And I think Miranda's, we might get with her when she gets back from Europe.
Nice.
Just like slumber party it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds fun.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really special. I'm really proud of that. I feel like, when we come together and when we sing, it's like we all get chills and we all feel like... And
everybody else does too. I mean, you guys have CMA, ACM, CMT nominees, right? So it's like,
we're Grammy-nominated band too.
It's all just everybody else notices too, and
that's good. And then we'll keep making music.
Yes, please do.
I'm the wrangler. I'm like,
you're the wrangler.
I'm the secretary of the band. I'm like, okay, need
There's
dates from you.
one.
I need dates from you. And yeah,
good.
Yeah,
keep it up because we want to keep it coming.
I'm on it.
And recently, Miranda just released a song that y'all wrote together with Leon Bridges.
Yes.
Did y'all write that as a duet? Because I'm always curious when I hear duets. I'm like, did you know that this was going to be, or was that like a artist collab thing?
Well, I feel like that we had kind of talked about it. Me and her always like, like screenshot like a Leon song we like. We've always like been fan of him. And we were writing that day. We actually wrote 2 that day with Jesse Frazier. And yeah, once we started getting a little Texas-y, Shares the Frios, Winding, and all that, she was like, Leon. I'm like, oh, yes, we've got to make this happen.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, it kind of was in the back of our minds at that point, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's an amazing song. And
Thank you.
I love
Glad he said yes.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
You're like, fingers crossed, but
yeah.
No, it's awesome. And you also just sang on Ben Chapman's song that you guys wrote together, right?
With Meg.
Yes.
Meg McCree, yeah. Is It Ever Really Gone? Yeah, that was awesome. I love Ben so much, and I love Meg so much, and, he was like, will you sing on it with me? I'm like, yeah, let's just do it kind of more stripped-down version. And
it's beautiful. Anything you add your voice to is going to be amazing.
Thank you.
But you've got so much going on with all this new music coming too that I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, I can't wait to get it out. I really can't.
And I know that everybody in Jackson can't wait for you to come up and play for us. Yes. You're going to have an amazing time because also, I don't know, you probably don't know this yet. Maybe you do. But CMT is coming out to film the whole entire weekend. And they take us all on little excursions, fun excursions.
Excursions?
To film. So we're going to have a good time.
Not like mountain climbing. No hard excursions.
No.
I'm not
outdoorsy. It depends on what you want. But
yeah. I'll do the lightest excursions.
Carter Faith last year, who we were talking about, you're friends with, she did axe throwing last year.
Oh, yeah. I could maybe do some axe throwing.
So we'll find something fun for you to do. But we're going to have a great time. Everybody's just so excited. And this festival is all about just celebrating the strong women of country. And you are, without a doubt, I mean, anybody who hears your story knows that you're a strong woman, period.
Thank you.
And then add in your beautiful country music to that.
Thank you.
Are the perfect fit for this, so we just can't wait to have you. And I have a special little something for you to say thank you for coming on the podcast, and also a little memento for Jackson Hole. So you can open
it now.
Sure, if you want.
Love presents so much.
So it actually has the Tetons inside.
How beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So whatever you like to drink, I don't know what it is, whether it's water or hard liquor.
Water.
Yeah.
When I'm feeling frisky, it'll be Coca-Cola Classic on ice. That's what this is gonna be. I love it. Thank you.
Of course. So thank you so much for coming on today, and we will see you in Jackson Hole. Y'all be sure to check out Ashley Monroe. You will fall in love with her voice, everything about her. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for listening. Tickets are now on sale for Cowgirls at the Cowboy. I hope to see you there. Visit milliondollarcowboybar.com for more info.